let's face it, like with metal, there's not a lot of, unless it's like a melodic vocal, for the screaming parts of metal, there aren't a whole lot of dynamics. Yeah, there may be a little bit, but most of the time, like it sits pretty much the same in the mix through the whole song. So it's just like, I like to really compress it heavily. And this plugin just adds this really awesome grit and bite. So I'll use that. And then I just kind of let it sit there. And if I need to automate it up, I will. If I need to bring it down, I will. But most of the time, it just sits very, very beautifully across the mix.
That's amazing. It's so interesting the way you say like the no automation thing for the vocal. I feel like with like a lot of mixers in a lot of different genres, automation is like what eats up a lot of time in terms of the mix. And it seems to me from like what you're saying and from also other people I've interviewed who work in the metal genre, it's like it seems like what takes up the most amount of time mixing metal is that puzzle of like getting everything to kind of punch through at the maximum volume, like that, or maximum apparent volume at least, you know, through all the you know, getting those transients to sort of come through, and the mastering chain and all that stuff. Like that seems to be where the magic is at in terms of like metal mixing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with pop, like with really dynamic melodic vocals where there's a lot of nuance and a lot of up and down in, you know, in dynamics, like of course, then it's all about the automation and setting it and lifting that vocal just to the right place. And a lot of the time, if the performance is, even if it's compressed on the way in, if the performance is very dynamic and expressive and has a lot of emotion, then it's going to require a lot of automation to keep it like kind of beautifully up in front. And I mean, often, you know, with pop, like there's parts and verses where, you know, like Mariah Carey kind of stuff, for example, it's like, it's really, really like dreamy and it's like that high frequency, but you know, the dynamics are there. So like automation is always needed, you know what I mean? So with metal, like the vocal is so extreme and it's always the same, velocity and aggression and like most of the time throughout the song. So it's actually really easy, in my opinion, to get a metal vocal like sitting where it needs to sit. Like you said, the hard part of mixing metal is getting all of the little individual pieces of the puzzle to fit up against that brick wall of a master. That's like, it's so hard. It's really hard. But that's, once you get the sweet spot and you figure it out and you do it enough, like it becomes kind of second nature. But that's the thing, like depending on what you're getting, the raw files, and depending on what is being delivered to you, that changes that whole process. So you might need to spend more time getting the drums where they need to be. You might need to spend more time with guitars. It just depends. But if you're lucky enough to get really great recorded files, then it goes pretty quick. So
yeah, that's cool.